Hi folks, it's Mark Merrill with Firm, Fairness in Reporting Media. Today, race has no color. One of the greatest evangelists who you see right here of the 20th century was the Reverend Billy Graham. Among his many speeches to people around the world, from all walks of life, all religions, all ethnic groups, and some people not even able to express free speech or rights, Dr. Graham always had literature that he would gladly give to those who came forward at his ceremonies to give their lives to Christianity if they so desired. Among those is one that we at Firm focus on in this program. Since unfortunately the racism topic by the mainstream media has been thrust upon the entire United States, even with newly re-elected President Trump, we're going to quote a brief statement from Dr. Graham, which applies to our topic today: race has no color. Quoting, Jesus was not a white man. He was not a black man. He came from the part of the world that touches Africa, Asia, and Europe. Christianity is not a white man's religion, and don't let anybody ever tell you that it's a white or black only situation, issue. Christ belongs to all people. He belongs to the whole world, said Dr. Graham. Now, of course, today in 2024, being what we've gone through in this country, folks, over the last 4.5 years, and actually, I'd like to take it back to around 2012, the second term of Barack Obama forward. That's where it really started. There's still a lot of harsh voices from radical hate groups like Black Lives Matter recently. Here's one of them right here. And Hawk Newsome here claims he's still a leader of Black Lives Matter, if they still exist. He recently called for violence. Just shortly after Daniel Penny was acquitted of the death of Jordan Neely, and Newsome wanted to have nationwide violence against all Americans and the justice system that he claims failed to do their jobs. Well, here's one online reaction from a woman who posted a very profound statement from Mr. Newsome about his threats. This was on Blaze Media from a Laura Williams. Quoting, "When all this Black Lives Matter stuff started," she said, "I read somewhere that there were less than 100 actual card-carrying KKK members in the whole nation. We have 340 million people in our country," she estimates. "Every nation around the world has people who are racist, and no, they are not all white by any stretch of the imagination. Go over or just study about Hawaii, just one state. All kinds of racial discontent from one race towards another, and there are a number of such races there with their biases and prejudices. Enough with all the racial nonsense. Pull your grown-up pants up and stand up straight. Start using your brains," she says, "and stop with the hating someone else just because they don't look, talk, eat, pray, or act like you do." I couldn't have said that any better, Ms. Williams. But she concludes, "Everyone is different, and people need to start respecting that and accepting it. Embrace the differences, learn from one another, and start getting along and finding common ground, because you can, if you at least try to do so. That is what should be taught in every school, and not just in this nation, but all of them." Very well done, Ms. Williams. Last but not least, folks, Dr. Graham again here, who you see pictured with the wonderful Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., when both men were young back in the day in the 60s. Dr. Graham had a segment at the end of one of his pamphlets on racial equality. And the last paragraph says the only solution. Throughout his ministry, Mr. Graham repeatedly insisted that the only lasting answer to racism is the power of the gospel to change and stir hearts. History shows that the thought of Christ on the cross has been more potent than anything else in arousing a compassion for suffering and indignation at injustice. He was quoting a church historian during a 1967 nationwide broadcast on that particular time. He also said this, folks: there is no scriptural basis for segregation. There is no scriptural basis for segregation. The ground is level at the foot of the cross. Thank you, Dr. Graham, and thank you, Laura, for your input. In the meantime, folks, you can look up information on Dr. Graham, as we will post that after the conclusion of our program today, in our comments section on rumble.com/fairnessmedia1, our first one right here. We're also posting on a regular basis now on Twitter and YouTube, and more to come in the early parts of 2025. But also email us anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessinreportingmedia@gmail.com. As always, Mark Merrill, wishing you all peace and joy and happiness with family during the holiday seasons. Safe travels as well.